The rain was coming down hard that Tuesday evening. Tyler pulled his jacket tighter around his shoulders, but it didn't help much. The cheap fabric was already soaked through, and he could feel the cold water seeping into his work shirt. His boots made squelching sounds with every step as he walked quickly through the downtown streets. It had been another brutal day at the construction site. 12 hours of hauling concrete blocks, fixing scaffolding, and listening to his boss yell about deadlines. His back ached, his hands were raw, and all he wanted was to get home, heat up whatever leftovers were in his fridge, and collapse into bed. But he couldn't go home yet. He had his night shift at the warehouse starting in 45 minutes. Tyler was 28 years old, and he felt like he was 50. 2 jobs, barely any sleep, and still struggling to make ends meet. His small studio apartment cost almost half his paycheck, and the rest went to paying off the mountain of medical bills his mom had left behind when she passed away 2 years ago. Cancer treatment isn't cheap, and even with insurance, the debt was crushing. He took a shortcut through the alley behind the grocery store. It wasn't the safest route, but it saved him 10 minutes, and every minute counted when you were living his life. The alley was dark, lit only by a single flickering streetlight at the far end. Dumpsters lined both sides, and the smell of rotting produce mixed with the rain. That's when he saw him. An old man was slumped against the brick wall near one of the dumpsters. His thin jacket was completely drenched, and his gray hair was plastered to his head. He looked small and fragile, like a strong wind could blow him away. His eyes were half closed, and he was shaking from the cold. Tyler stopped walking. His first instinct was to keep moving. He was already late, and getting involved in someone else's problems was the last thing he needed. Plus, this was downtown. There were homeless people everywhere, and as much as it hurt to admit it, you couldn't help everyone. But something made him look back. The old man wasn't like the others he usually saw. There was something different about him. His clothes were old but clean. His face had a gentle look to it, even in distress. And those hands, weathered and wrinkled, but there was a dignity to the way he held them. Tyler cursed under his breath and walked back. "Hey, sir, you okay?" He crouched down next to the old man, rain streaming down his face. The man's eyes opened slowly. They were cloudy with confusion, but there was intelligence behind them. He tried to speak, but his voice came out as barely a whisper. I don't know where I am." Tyler felt a knot form in his stomach. This wasn't just someone down on their luck. Something was wrong. The man looked disoriented, maybe sick. He needed help, real help. "Can you stand up? We need to get you out of this rain." Tyler put his arm under the old man's shoulder and helped him to his feet. The man weighed almost nothing. He leaned heavily on Tyler, his legs unsteady. There was a diner 2 blocks away. Tyler had passed it 100 times, but never went in because he couldn't afford to waste money on restaurant food. Now it seemed like the only option. The walk took forever. The old man shuffled along, stopping every few steps to catch his breath. Tyler kept one arm around him, supporting most of his weight. People passed by with umbrellas, giving them quick glances before looking away. Nobody stopped to help. Nobody asked if they needed anything. The diner was warm and bright, a sharp contrast to the cold darkness outside. A few customers sat in booths, and a tired-looking waitress stood behind the counter. She raised an eyebrow when Tyler helped the old man through the door, but she didn't say anything. Tyler guided him to a booth in the corner and helped him sit down. The old man was still shaking, his lips tinged with blue. "Can we get some hot coffee here? And maybe some soup?" Tyler called out to the waitress. She nodded and disappeared into the kitchen. Tyler sat down across from the old man and really looked at him for the first time. He was probably in his 70s with deep lines around his eyes and a face that suggested he'd smiled a lot in his lifetime. His hands rested on the table, trembling slightly. "What's your name, sir?" "William," the old man said softly. His voice was stronger now, warming up along with the rest of him. "William Chen. I'm Tyler. Do you remember what happened? How you ended up in that alley?" William's brow furrowed as he tried to remember. I was walking. I wanted some fresh air. But then I got confused. I couldn't remember which way to go." He looked down at his hands, embarrassed. "This has been happening lately. My mind plays tricks on me sometimes." The waitress brought coffee and a bowl of chicken noodle soup. The steam rose from the bowl, and William's eyes lit up at the sight of it. He picked up the spoon with shaky hands and started eating slowly. Tyler glanced at his phone. He was definitely going to be late for his warehouse shift now. His supervisor was going to be angry, might even dock his pay. But he couldn't just leave this old man alone. Not yet. Do you have family, William? Someone I can call? William paused, his spoon halfway to his mouth. I'm not sure. I know there's someone, but I can't quite remember. That concerned Tyler even more. This wasn't just confusion. This might be something serious like dementia or a medical emergency. They sat in silence for a while. William finished his soup and drank his coffee. Color was returning to his face, and the shaking had mostly stopped. Tyler could see the intelligence coming back into his eyes as he warmed up. "You're very kind," William said suddenly, looking directly at Tyler. Not many people would stop. Tyler shrugged, uncomfortable with the praise. Anyone would have done the same. "No," William said firmly. "They wouldn't. I was there for almost an hour before you came. Dozens of people walked past." He leaned forward slightly. "What's your name again?" Tyler Brooks. And what do you do, Tyler Brooks?" "Construction work, mostly. Some warehouse stuff at night." Tyler checked his phone again. He was now officially late. 2 jobs, William observed. That must be difficult. "It's what I gotta do." Tyler pulled out his wallet and counted out the bills for the coffee and soup. It was money he'd set aside for his own dinner, but he'd figure something out later. William watched him carefully, his eyes taking in every detail. The worn wallet, the calloused hands, the exhaustion written across Tyler's young face. "Where do you need to go?" Tyler asked. "Do you know your address?" William thought for a moment, then his face cleared. Yes, I remember now. Maple Grove Care Center on 5th Street. That's a care facility, right? Were you living there?" William nodded. "I must have wandered off during my evening walk. They're probably worried sick." Tyler called the facility, and sure enough, they'd been searching for William for 2 hours. They were sending someone to pick him up right away. While they waited, William kept studying Tyler with those sharp eyes. He asked questions: where Tyler was from, what his dreams had been before life got in the way, what kept him going through the hard days. Tyler found himself opening up in a way he rarely did. There was something about this old man that made him feel safe, understood. When the care facility van finally arrived, William stood up slowly. He reached out and shook Tyler's hand with surprising strength. "Thank you, Tyler Brooks. You have a good heart. Don't let this world make you lose that. Take care of yourself, William." Tyler watched as the old man was helped into the van. Then he turned and ran toward the warehouse. He was 40 minutes late and was definitely going to get written up. But as he ran through the rain, something felt different, lighter somehow. He'd missed his dinner and he'd be short on this week's paycheck, but he'd done the right thing. Sometimes that had to be enough. He had no idea that the old man he'd helped would remember everything. Every word, every gesture, every kindness. And he definitely had no idea that in 3 days his entire life would change forever. 3 days passed and Tyler had almost forgotten about the old man in the alley. Almost, but not quite. Every now and then, when he was hammering nails or stacking boxes at the warehouse, he'd think about William and wonder if he was okay. But life had a way of pushing those thoughts aside. Bills didn't pay themselves, and Tyler had too much on his plate to dwell on one rainy evening. It was Thursday afternoon, and the construction site was loud with the usual chaos. Drills whirring, hammers pounding, guys shouting over the noise. Tyler was up on the 3rd floor of the building they were working on, his muscles burning as he carried steel beams with another worker. "Brooks, someone's here for you." Tyler looked down and saw his foreman, Danny, waving at him from the ground level. That was weird. Nobody ever came looking for him at work. His stomach tightened. Was something wrong? Had something happened? He climbed down the scaffolding and walked over to where Danny was standing. His foreman had a strange look on his face, somewhere between confused and impressed. "There's a lady asking for you. Says it's important." Danny gestured toward the construction trailer. "She's waiting over there." Tyler's confusion grew. He wiped his dusty hands on his jeans and walked toward the trailer, his mind racing through possibilities. Maybe it was about his mom's medical bills. Maybe they were coming after him for more money. Maybe someone was suing him for something he didn't even know about. But when he rounded the corner, what he saw made him stop in his tracks. A sleek black sedan was parked near the trailer, the kind of car he'd only seen in movies. It was spotless, probably cost more than he'd make in 5 years. Standing next to it was a woman in an expensive-looking suit, holding a leather briefcase. She looked completely out of place among the dirt, concrete, and construction equipment. She saw him and smiled. "Tyler Brooks? Yeah, that's me." He felt suddenly aware of how he must look, covered in dust, his work clothes stained and worn, his hair a mess under his hard hat. "My name is Jennifer Park. I'm an attorney for Chen Industries." She reached into her briefcase and pulled out a business card. Holding it out to him, Tyler took it, staring at the elegant lettering. Chen Industries. The name rang a bell, but he couldn't quite place it. "Okay, what's this about? Am I in trouble or something?" "Not at all," Jennifer said warmly. "Actually, my client would like to meet with you, Mr. William Chen." The name hit him like a punch. William. The old man from the alley. "Wait, William. Is he okay? Did something happen?" "He's perfectly fine, thanks to you. He'd like to thank you properly. He's asked if you could come to his office this evening." She glanced at her watch. "Would 6 o'clock work for you?" "His office?" Tyler was still trying to process this. "I mean, I have work tonight at the warehouse, but I guess I could stop by before." "Where is it?" Jennifer handed him another card with an address. "It's downtown, the Gateway Tower building. Top floor. Security will be expecting you." Before Tyler could ask any more questions, she got back into the sedan and drove away, leaving him standing there with 2 business cards in his dirty hands. Danny appeared beside him, eyes wide. "Dude, was that about Chen Industries?" "The Chen Industries? I guess. Why, what's Chen Industries?" Danny laughed in disbelief. "Man, where have you been? They're huge. Tech manufacturing, international business, the whole deal. William Chen is like a legend. He started with nothing and built an empire. He's worth millions, maybe billions. What the hell did you do to get his attention?" Tyler's mind was spinning. Millions? The confused old man shivering in the rain was worth millions? It didn't make sense. I helped him out a few days ago. He seemed lost. Well, whatever you did, he obviously appreciated it. You better clean up before you go see him, man. You can't walk into Gateway Tower looking like you just crawled out of a cement mixer. The rest of the workday dragged by. Tyler couldn't focus. His mind kept jumping between excitement and suspicion. Why would a millionaire want to meet with him? People like that didn't just invite construction workers to their offices. Maybe it was a scam. Maybe this Jennifer Park wasn't really a lawyer. Maybe someone was trying to set him up, but the business cards looked real. He'd even looked up Chen Industries on his phone during lunch break. It was legitimate, a massive company with offices around the world, and there was William Chen's photo on their website. The same gentle face, the same intelligent eyes. But in this picture, he was wearing an expensive suit and standing in front of a building with his name on it. At 5:30, Tyler rushed home to his studio apartment. He didn't have much in the way of nice clothes, but he did his best. He showered quickly, put on his only pair of dress pants and a button-up shirt he'd worn to his mom's funeral. Looking in the mirror, he still felt like he was playing dress-up, but it was better than showing up in his work boots. The Gateway Tower was in the heart of downtown, a gleaming building of glass and steel that seemed to touch the clouds. Tyler stood outside for a moment, feeling small. People in expensive suits walked past him, talking on phones, looking important. He almost turned around and left, but he'd come this far. The lobby was all marble and chrome with a massive desk where 2 security guards sat. Tyler approached nervously, giving his name. One of the guards checked a computer screen and nodded. "Mr. Chen is expecting you. Take the private elevator on the right. It'll take you straight to the penthouse." The elevator was nicer than his entire apartment. Smooth jazz played softly, and the walls were covered in dark wood panels. Tyler watched the floor numbers climb. 20, 30, 40, 45. The doors opened directly into an office that took his breath away. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the entire city. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. The furniture was elegant but comfortable, and there were plants everywhere, giving the space a calm feeling despite being so high up. And there, standing by the window, was William. He looked completely different than he had in the alley. He wore slacks and a cardigan, his gray hair neatly combed. But it was the same man. Tyler could see it in his eyes, in the way he smiled. "Tyler," William said warmly, walking over with his hand extended. "Thank you for coming. Please sit down." Tyler shook his hand and sat in one of the leather chairs, feeling completely out of place. "Mr. Chen, I had no idea who you were. The other night, I mean. I know you didn't. That's exactly why I wanted to see you. William sat across from him, his expression serious. Let me explain what happened that night. I live in a care facility now. My health hasn't been great lately, and sometimes I get confused. The doctors call it cognitive episodes. I went for my evening walk and got disoriented. I couldn't remember where I was or how to get back. Are you okay now? Yes, thanks to you. But here's the thing, Tyler. I was out there for over an hour. Do you know how many people walked past me? Dozens. Some saw me and looked away. Some crossed the street to avoid me. One person even took a photo on their phone. Tyler felt his jaw tighten. That's messed up. It is. But you stopped. You didn't just stop. You bought me food with money you clearly needed yourself. You waited with me. You made sure I got home safely. And you asked for nothing in return. Anyone would have. No. William interrupted gently. They wouldn't, and I know that because they didn't. You did. He leaned forward. I've spent my whole life in business, Tyler. I've met thousands of people. I've worked with executives, politicians, brilliant minds, and I can tell you that character, real character, is the rarest thing in the world. You can't buy it, you can't fake it, and you can't teach it. You either have it or you don't. Tyler didn't know what to say. He just sat there feeling embarrassed and confused about where this was going. I want to offer you a job, William said. The words hung in the air. Tyler blinked. A job? Doing what? I'm a construction worker, Mr. Chen. I don't know anything about tech or business or whatever it is your company does. I need a personal assistant, someone I can trust, someone who sees people, not dollar signs. The pay would be $75,000 a year to start, with full benefits. Tyler's heart stopped. $75,000? That was more than both his jobs combined. That was enough to pay off his debts in a year. That was enough to actually have a life, but it didn't make sense. Why me? You could hire anyone. Someone with experience, with education, someone who actually knows what they're doing. William smiled. Because I don't need someone who knows about business. I need someone who knows about people. Someone who'll tell me the truth even when it's hard. Someone who stopped in a rainy alley when everyone else kept walking. Tyler's mind was racing. This could be the answer to everything. No more double shifts, no more exhaustion, no more counting pennies. But something felt off. Things like this didn't happen to people like him. I don't know, Mr. Chen, this seems too good to be true. Tell you what, William said. Give me 1 month. Trial basis. If you hate it, you walk away, no hard feelings. But if you stay, I promise you'll learn things that could change your life. Not just about business, but about what you're capable of. Tyler looked out at the city lights starting to twinkle in the growing darkness. Every instinct told him to be careful, to be suspicious. But when he looked back at William, he saw the same man from the alley. Honest, kind, and genuine. 1 month, Tyler said finally. But if this is some kind of weird setup, I'm out. William laughed, a rich, warm sound. Fair enough. Can you start Monday? As Tyler left the building that night, his head was spinning. He had no idea what he'd just agreed to. He had no idea if he was making the biggest mistake of his life or the best decision he'd ever made. But something told him his life would never be the same again. Monday morning came faster than Tyler expected. He stood outside the Gateway Tower at 7:30, wearing the same dress pants and shirt from Thursday. His palms were sweating. Part of him still couldn't believe this was real. Part of him expected to walk in and find out it was all some elaborate joke. But Jennifer was waiting for him in the lobby, professional smile in place. Good morning, Tyler. Ready for your first day? The first week was overwhelming. Tyler's job was to help William with his daily schedule, attend meetings with him, handle correspondence, and basically be an extra set of eyes and ears. It sounded simple, but nothing about William's world was simple. On his second day, Tyler sat in on a board meeting. 20 people in expensive suits talked about profit margins, market shares, and quarterly projections. Tyler understood maybe every third word. He sat quietly in the corner, trying not to feel like a complete fraud. But William kept glancing at him, asking his opinion on things. At first, Tyler thought he was just being polite. But then he realized William actually wanted to know what he thought. Tyler, you've been quiet. What's your take on the manufacturing proposal? William asked during one meeting. Everyone turned to look at him. Tyler felt his face get hot. I don't really understand all the technical stuff. But from what I'm hearing, you're talking about cutting worker breaks to increase production time? The executive who'd made the proposal nodded. Correct. It's a standard efficiency measure. That seems like a bad idea, Tyler said, then immediately wished he hadn't. Who was he to question these people? But William leaned forward, interested. Why? Because tired workers make mistakes. Mistakes cost money, and if you treat people like machines, they're gonna start looking for other jobs. Training new people costs way more than giving everyone an extra 15-minute break. Tyler shrugged. At least that's how it worked on construction sites. The room went quiet. Some executives looked annoyed. Others looked thoughtful. William smiled. He's right. Rejected. Next proposal. After the meeting, one of the executives, a man named Richard, stopped Tyler in the hallway. He was William's nephew, tall and polished, with perfectly styled hair and a smile that didn't reach his eyes. You're the construction worker, right? Richard's tone was pleasant, but there was something sharp underneath. Yeah, that's me. Interesting that Uncle William brought you on board. Word of advice? Know your place. You might have impressed him with some Good Samaritan act, but this is the real world. People here have worked years to earn their seats at that table. Richard patted Tyler's shoulder a bit too hard. Just remember, you're here because of charity, not competence. He walked away before Tyler could respond. The words stung because part of Tyler wondered if Richard was right. What was he doing here? He didn't have a college degree. He didn't understand half the business jargon they threw around. Maybe he was just William's pet project, something to make the old man feel good about himself. But William seemed to sense his doubts. That afternoon, he invited Tyler to lunch, not in some fancy restaurant, but in the small kitchen area of his office. You're thinking about quitting, William said. Unwrapping a sandwich? How'd you know? Because I've seen that look before. Imposter syndrome, they call it. Feeling like you don't belong. William took a bite and chewed thoughtfully. Let me tell you something. I started with nothing. My parents were immigrants who worked in a laundry. I put myself through community college while working 3 jobs. When I first walked into a business meeting, I felt exactly like you do now. Tyler found that hard to believe. You seem like you were born for this. Nobody's born for anything. We learn, we adapt, we grow. You know what your real advantage is. You see things these executives can't see because they've been in the bubble too long. You understand what actually matters: people, fairness, common sense. That's worth more than any MBA. Over the next few weeks, William became more than a boss. He was a teacher, constantly explaining concepts, sharing stories, showing Tyler how the business world actually worked behind the polished surface. They'd spend evenings in William's office, William talking about negotiations, investments, the philosophies that had built his company. Business isn't just about making money, William said one night. It's about creating value. Real value, jobs that let people feed their families, products that make life better. That's what I built Chen Industries to do. Is that still what it does? Tyler asked carefully. William's expression darkened. Not as much as it should. That's part of why I needed someone like you. Fresh eyes. Tyler was starting to notice things. Small things at first. Expense reports that didn't quite add up. Decisions being made that seemed to hurt workers while padding executive bonuses. And at the center of a lot of it was Richard. One evening, Tyler was working late organizing files in William's office. William had already gone home for the day. His health required strict rest schedules. Tyler was about to leave when he knocked over a stack of folders, papers spilling everywhere. As he gathered them up, one document caught his eye. It was a financial report marked confidential. Tyler almost put it back without reading it, but something made him look closer. The numbers didn't make sense. There were transfers from the pension fund, the retirement money for Chen Industries' 2,000 employees, going to an offshore account. Small amounts, spread out over months, but when Tyler added them up in his head, it was millions of dollars. His heart started pounding. This wasn't just bad business. This was theft. And the authorization signature at the bottom belonged to Richard Chen. Tyler took photos of the documents with his phone, his hands shaking. He didn't know what to do with this information. If he was wrong, he'd look like an idiot. If he was right and said something, he'd be making a powerful enemy. He thought about it all night, barely sleeping. By morning, he knew he had to tell William. The old man had trusted him, had given him this opportunity. He couldn't just ignore something this serious. William listened quietly as Tyler explained what he'd found, showing him the photos. The color drained from William's face. Are you certain about this? I'm not an accountant, but I know what money moving around looks like. And it's not going where it's supposed to go. William was quiet for a long time, staring out at the city. When he finally spoke, his voice was heavy with sadness. Richard is family. I've known him since he was a boy. I gave him a position in the company because his mother, my sister, asked me to. I wanted to believe he'd grown into someone trustworthy. What are we going to do? We need proof. Real proof. Not just one document, but a pattern. William turned to Tyler. This is dangerous territory. If Richard realizes we're investigating him, he could destroy evidence. Or worse how? He could turn this around on us. Claim we're the ones mismanaging funds. He has allies on the board, people who owe him favors. We need to be smart about this. Over the next 2 weeks, Tyler and William worked carefully. William brought in a trusted accountant to quietly review the files. Jennifer, the attorney, helped them understand the legal implications. Every day, Tyler expected Richard to figure out what they were doing, but he was too arrogant to notice. The evidence was damning. Richard had been siphoning money from the pension fund for over a year. He'd also been making deals with suppliers that gave him kickbacks, inflating costs and pocketing the difference. He was stealing from the company his uncle built, from the workers who'd given years of their lives to Chen Industries. We have enough, Jennifer said during a private meeting. We can take this to the board. William looked older than Tyler had ever seen him. The stress was taking a toll. His hands shook slightly as he poured himself water. Call an emergency board meeting. Friday morning. It's time to end this. But that night, Tyler got a call from an unknown number. Tyler Brooks? This is Vanessa Rodriguez from Channel 7 News. We've received some interesting information about you. Care to comment on your juvenile criminal record? Tyler's blood ran cold. What are you talking about? Arrest for theft when you were 16. Stealing from a pharmacy. Ring any bell? His stomach dropped. That had been sealed. It happened when his mom was dying and couldn't afford her medication. Tyler, desperate and stupid, had tried to steal the pills she needed. He'd been caught, arrested. But because he was a minor and it was his first offense, the judge had sealed the record after he completed community service. How did you get that information? A source provided it, along with some interesting theories about you manipulating an elderly man for money. Any comment? Tyler hung up. His hands were shaking. Someone had dug into his past and leaked it to the press, and he knew exactly who. Richard had found out, and he was fighting back. When Tyler arrived at the office the next morning, William was already there, watching the news. Tyler's face was on the screen, his mugshot from 12 years ago, looking scared and young. The headline read, "Construction worker with criminal past now controls access to elderly billionaire." William turned off the TV. Sit down, Tyler. Mr. Chen, I can explain. I know about it. I had Jennifer run a background check before I hired you. I know you stole medication for your dying mother. I know the charges were sealed. I know you've lived a clean life ever since. Tyler felt tears prick his eyes. I was going to tell you. I just didn't know how. You don't need to explain yourself to me, but Richard is playing dirty. He's going to use this to discredit everything we found. He'll paint you as a criminal taking advantage of me. William's jaw set firmly. I won't let that happen. Maybe I should just go. Quit before this gets worse. You don't need my mess dragging down. Absolutely not, William said firmly. Running away is exactly what Richard wants. We're seeing this through. Together. Tyler looked at the old man who'd given him a chance when nobody else would. William believed in him even now, even with his past splashed across the news. Okay, Tyler said. Together. Let's finish this. The emergency board meeting was set for Friday at 9 in the morning. Tyler barely slept the night before. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw his mugshot on the news, heard the whispers of people calling him a con artist, a criminal taking advantage of a sick old man. The media had run with Richard's leaked story. By Thursday evening, it was everywhere. Social media was brutal. People who'd never met Tyler had strong opinions about him. Some defended him, saying everyone deserved a second chance. But most assumed the worst, that he was a manipulator, a gold digger who targeted a vulnerable elderly man. Tyler's phone wouldn't stop buzzing with calls from reporters. He'd stopped answering. Even his old co-workers from the construction site had reached out, some supportive, others asking if the rumors were true. Did he really have William under some kind of spell? Was he stealing from the old man? Thursday night, Tyler sat in his small apartment staring at the walls. Everything he'd built over the past 2 months felt like it was crumbling. Maybe Richard was right. Maybe he didn't belong in that world. Maybe he should just pack up and disappear before he embarrassed William any further. His phone rang. William. "Don't even think about not showing up tomorrow," William said before Tyler could speak. "How did you know?" "Because I know what doubt sounds like. I can hear it in your silence. Listen to me, Tyler. What Richard did was cruel and calculating. He went after you because he knows we have him cornered. Wounded animals are the most dangerous. But I'm making things worse for you. The company's stock dropped today because of the scandal. People are questioning your judgment. Maybe if you quit now, Richard wins. He gets to keep stealing from people who've worked their whole lives. 2,000 employees lose their retirement, and you let a bully make you believe his lies." William's voice softened. "I've been in business for 50 years. I've survived recessions, hostile takeovers, and betrayals that would make Richard look like an amateur. What I can't survive is losing the one person in this company I actually trust. So you're going to show up tomorrow, and we're going to set things right. Understood?" Tyler felt something shift inside him. William wasn't just defending him out of kindness. He needed him. They were a team. Understood? Friday morning felt like walking into battle. Tyler wore his best clothes and held his head high as he entered the gateway tower. Reporters had gathered outside, shouting questions. Security had to clear a path. The boardroom was on the 40th floor, a massive space with a long table and leather chairs. Board members were already seated, 12 of them, powerful people who controlled the direction of Chen Industries. Tyler recognized some faces from previous meetings. Others were new, and there at the far end of the table sat Richard. He looked confident, relaxed even. When he saw Tyler, he smiled like a cat that had just cornered a mouse. William entered with Jennifer, the attorney, and another woman Tyler didn't recognize. William walked slowly, and Tyler noticed he seemed more tired than usual. The stress of the past few weeks was clearly taking its toll. "Thank you all for coming on short notice," William began, taking his seat at the head of the table. "We're here to discuss serious allegations of financial misconduct within Chen Industries." Richard leaned back in his chair. "Uncle William, before we start, I think we need to address the elephant in the room. Your assistant has a criminal record. The media is having a field day with it. Don't you think we should discuss how that reflects on the company's reputation?" Several board members murmured in agreement. William's expression didn't change. Tyler's past is irrelevant to today's meeting. What is relevant is the systematic theft of employee pension funds that's been occurring for the past 18 months. The room went silent. Richard's smile faltered. "That's a serious accusation. I hope you have proof." "We do." Jennifer stood and handed folders to each board member. "What you're looking at is a complete audit of unauthorized transfers from the employee pension fund to offshore accounts. Over $3 million has been moved without board approval." Tyler watched the board members' faces as they flipped through the documents. Shock, confusion, anger, different reactions, but all intense. "This is absurd," Richard said, but his voice had lost some of its confidence. "Those transfers were approved. Standard investment diversification." "Really?" The woman who'd come in with William spoke for the first time. She was older, maybe in her 60s, with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense expression. "I'm Helen Watanabe, senior partner at Watanabe Forensic Accounting. We've been conducting an independent investigation for the past 2 weeks. Mr. Chen, your nephew's signature appears on these authorization forms, but they were never submitted for board approval as required by company bylaws." She pulled up a presentation on the screen at the front of the room. Numbers, dates, bank statements, all laid out in damning detail. Furthermore, we discovered a pattern of inflated supplier contracts. Mr. Richard Chen approved payments to 3 companies that then funneled money back to his personal accounts. In total, we estimate he's stolen approximately $5.2 million from Chen Industries. The room erupted. Board members started talking over each other, some demanding answers, others looking at Richard with disgust. Richard stood up, his face red. "This is a setup. Uncle William is being manipulated by this criminal." He pointed at Tyler. "He shows up out of nowhere, worms his way into my uncle's confidence, and suddenly I'm the bad guy. Wake up, everyone. This is a con job. Sit down, Richard." The voice came from Gregory Morrison, one of the oldest board members. He'd been with Chen Industries since the beginning. I've known William for 30 years. If he says there's evidence, there's evidence. And frankly, I've had concerns about some of your decisions for months. Thank you, Greg. William's voice was steady but tired. I want to make something clear. Tyler Brooks found this evidence while doing his job. He brought it to me at considerable personal risk. And yes, he made a mistake when he was 16 years old. He tried to steal medication for his dying mother. The charges were sealed because a judge recognized it for what it was, a desperate kid trying to save his mom. William stood up, and despite his frail appearance, he commanded the room. Richard, on the other hand, stole millions from people who trusted him, not out of desperation or love, but out of greed. He betrayed this company, these employees, and his own family, and when he got caught, he tried to destroy a good man's reputation to save himself. Tyler felt his throat tighten. Nobody had ever defended him like this. Richard slammed his hand on the table. You're senile, old man. Everyone knows you've been having cognitive problems. They'll say Tyler manipulated you during your weak moments. I have lawyers too, and they'll tear both of you apart. Try it. Helen Watanabe's voice cut through the tension. I have documentation that will stand up in any court. I've already forwarded copies to the SEC and the FBI. This isn't just a company matter anymore, it's criminal. The color drained from Richard's face. For the first time, he looked scared. Gregory Morrison stood. I move for an immediate vote to remove Richard Chen from all positions within Chen Industries and to pursue full legal action. All in favor? 10 hands went up. Only 2 abstained. Richard sat frozen, watching his world collapse. Motion passes. Security will escort you out. You're terminated effective immediately, and the company will be cooperating fully with law enforcement. Gregory looked at Richard with disappointment. You could have had everything, son. Your uncle built an empire and would have shared it with you. Instead, you chose this. Security appeared and led Richard out. He didn't fight, didn't argue. He just walked, his shoulders slumped, the confidence completely gone. After he left, the boardroom felt lighter somehow. But the relief was short-lived. William suddenly swayed in his chair. Tyler rushed over, catching him before he fell. Mr. Chen, I'm fine, William said weakly. But he clearly wasn't. His face was pale and his breathing was shallow. Someone call an ambulance. Jennifer was already on her phone. As they waited, William grabbed Tyler's arm. Did we do it? Is it over? Yeah, we did it. The company's safe. The employees' pensions are safe. William smiled. Good, that's good. His grip loosened. Tyler, I need you to promise me something. Anything. If something happens to me, don't let this company become what it almost became. Keep it human. Keep it honest. Nothing's going to happen. The ambulance is coming. You're going to be fine. But as they rushed William to the hospital, Tyler couldn't shake the fear in his chest. They'd won the battle against Richard. But watching William on that stretcher, so small and fragile, Tyler realized the real fight might just be beginning. The ambulance pulled away, sirens wailing. Tyler stood in the parking lot, reporters surrounding him, cameras flashing, questions shouting. But all he could think about was the old man who'd believed in him when nobody else would, the man who'd changed his life in a rainy alley, the man who might be dying. William spent 3 days in the hospital. The doctor said it was exhaustion combined with the stress of everything that had happened. His heart was weak, they explained, and he needed to take things easier. No more long workdays, no more battles. Tyler practically lived in that hospital room. He brought his laptop and worked from the chair beside William's bed, handling emails and calls, making sure the company kept running smoothly. Helen Watanabe helped, guiding him through decisions, teaching him what he needed to know. You're doing well, she told him one afternoon while William was sleeping. Better than most people with 10 years of experience. I'm just trying not to mess anything up. That's exactly the right attitude. Helen looked at William with something like fondness. He chose well. I wasn't sure at first, I'll admit. When he told me he'd hired someone with no experience, I thought he'd lost his mind. But you've proven me wrong. On the 4th day, William came home, not to his office, but to his personal penthouse apartment that Tyler had never seen before. It was elegant but warm, filled with books and plants and photographs of William's late wife. They sat together that evening, drinking tea and watching the sunset over the city. The board wants to make some changes, William said quietly. They're impressed with how you handled things while I was in the hospital. Helen's been singing your praises. I just did what needed to be done. Exactly. That's leadership. William set down his cup. Tyler, I'm 76 years old. My health isn't going to get better. I've accepted that. But I can't leave this company without knowing it's in good hands. Tyler's chest tightened. Don't talk like that. You're going to be fine. I'm going to be realistic. And part of being realistic is planning for the future. William pulled out a folder and handed it to Tyler. The board has agreed to appoint you as co-CEO alongside Helen. She has the experience. You have the vision and the heart. Together you'll keep Chen Industries on the right path. Tyler stared at the papers, unable to process what he was reading. Co-CEO? Mr. Chen, I can't. I've only been here for 3 months. I don't know enough. I'll mess it up. You'll learn. Just like you've been learning. And you'll have Helen and the board to guide you. William smiled. Besides, who else am I going to trust? Someone with an MBA who thinks workers are just numbers on a spreadsheet? No, thank you. Over the next 6 months, Tyler stepped into his new role. It was terrifying at first. Every decision felt massive. Every meeting felt like he was one mistake away from disaster. But Helen was patient, teaching him the technical side of running a company. And William, though he'd officially retired, was always a phone call away with advice. The company started to change. Tyler implemented policies he'd wished for when he was the one wearing the hard hat and work boots. Better wages, safer conditions, real benefits that actually helped people. Some executives complained it would hurt profits. But Tyler stood firm and surprisingly, productivity went up. Turns out when you treat workers like human beings, they work harder and stay longer. The media attention gradually shifted. At first, they'd been obsessed with the scandal. Richard's arrest, the embezzlement, Tyler's criminal record. But as time passed, the story changed. They started reporting on Chen Industries' turnaround, the innovative policies, the construction worker who became CEO. Tyler still felt like an imposter sometimes. He'd be sitting in meetings with powerful people, making decisions that affected thousands of lives, and he'd remember being that exhausted guy in the rain, just trying to make it through another day. But William's words kept him grounded. You stopped when others walked by. That's who you are. Don't forget it. 14 months after that first rainy night, William's health took a turn for the worse. Tyler visited him every evening after work, and they'd talk about everything. Business, life, regrets, hopes. I never had children, William said one night. His voice was weak, but his mind was sharp. My wife and I tried, but it wasn't meant to be. For years, that felt like a failure. But meeting you, watching you grow, I realize now that family isn't just about blood. Tyler had to look away, blinking back tears. You changed my life, Mr. Chen. I was nobody, going nowhere, and you saw something in me I didn't even see in myself. You were never nobody. You just needed someone to open a door. William reached over and squeezed Tyler's hand. Promise me something.